The story of the Mazda MX-5 goes something like this. The British had long since given up making two-seat rear-wheel drive sporty roadsters after our car industry had basically imploded. A man who was not particularly happy about this fact, and also happened to know some engineers at Mazda, basically said to them, you guys need to take up the reins here, you need to make a rear-wheel drive lightweight two-seater sports car with a convertible roof. And Mazda, because God bless them, they are a very interesting car company, they just went, yeah, okay, we'll do that. And then of course they built the Mazda MX-5, which then became the best-selling two-seat rear-wheel drive sporty roadster ever made. Now this is the Mark I MX-5, this is the OG. This particular car is a 1991, the car came out in 1989, and it's the cool one with the pop-up headlights, isn't it? It's the original recipe for this kind of car. This is actually an imported Eunos, which is the name that Mazda gave the MX-5 in Japan. Of course, in America it was known as the MX-5 Miata. It's kind of always reminded me of like a little speedboat or something. The design of it is very nautical, especially in this white colour, with the particular highlights for me being the pop-up headlights, of course, the telescopic aerial that pops up when you first turn the car on, and the little tiny chrome door handles that are like 1 finger thick. It is a low-slung car. Now I'm 6 foot tall and my head is just kind of in line with the top of this roof. If you were any taller, you'd probably be poking out, looking like Noddy. You have to kind of fold yourself down into this car, almost sitting on the ground. But you're rewarded, of course, with a very sporty driving position, with the bonnet out in front of you. If you have the pop-up headlights up, they take up an enormous amount of your vision because they are massive. It's just you and the machine because the interior is so very basic. It's just a steering wheel, which has nothing on it, a center console, which has aged really well, I think, because it's very simple black monolith slab in the middle, these nice little twisty air vents, climate controls with air conditioning in this car, a radio, electric windows, sun visor that folds out halfway and then all the way. It's got a load of Japanese warnings on it that I don't know what they say. Door handles here that are off an Aston Martin DB7. Well, actually no, the DB7 stole them off of this. Some sort of sporty, buckety seats, a very sweet little manual gearbox that is a pleasure to use because Mazda designed it so that you had to put as little movement into it as possible. So it's got a short throw and you can change gears very quickly. The roof is manual, of course, because it's lightweight and it's very easy to use. And of course the rule is with the MX-5 that whenever you go out for a drive in this, if it's not raining, even if it's the middle of winter, you really ought to have the roof down. I know a lot of people in convertibles don't bother, they keep the roof up all the time and I just never understand why. Obviously this car doesn't need to be super practical, and it isn't, but it has a boot that can fit, you know, a weekend's worth of luggage in it. You don't have any like door pockets or anywhere to put any cups, there's no cup holders, but there is a glove box. That's about it really. It's, you know, it's okay. So it was a simple idea, make it as light as possible, under 1 ton, and give it a reliable modern Japanese engine with sophisticated things like twin cam and fuel injection. Lightened the engine with a lighter crank and flywheel and an aluminium sump, an aluminium bonnet. And of course they made the engine pokey. It was a 1.6 litre, but it could do over 7,000 RPM, 115 horsepower. Everything was about giving you that bugs in the teeth British car experience, putting you at one with the car, as they called it, Jinba Ittai, which is oneness of horse and rider. And the lovely thing is that right from the very start, they achieved that. They gave this car 50-50 weight distribution, double wishbone suspension front and rear. That light weight meant that it just turned so easily. And there was no waiting around for later versions of this car for it to become perfect, because they absolutely nailed it from the beginning. You put it into a corner, the steering is just so nicely weighted, the engine is just revving, it's like a happy little bumblebee under the bonnet, and of course it has to rev to get the power. It feels like it will just turn on a dime. To really rev this car out, it's so nice, and you know that it's not complaining about it, it's just going, more, give me more. The engines in these things are known to be 100% reliable, you know. As long as you give them oil changes and change the cam belt, they just keep on going. you could be having a whale of a time, flooring the engine, hearing the revs, wind in your hair, man and machine. You can look in your rearview mirror and there's some modern SUV just right there behind you. You can look at it two ways, really. You can think, well, this car's slow, it can't even beat a modern day normal family car in a race. You can look at it another way, and that is you're having all that fun and you're still completely within the law. The thing that I love about the MX-5s, all generations of it, is that the ride quality, whilst being, of course, firm, is still very nice compared to any other sort of sporty car. They get the ride quality right. It's not an uncomfortable car to drive, it's actually really pleasant. Clearly, the downside of this car is that it's not super practical when it comes to driving at higher speeds. I don't know if you can even hear me now. I'm doing 50 miles per hour and the RPM is almost at 3,000. And if you're doing 70 miles per hour, you're looking at nearly 4,000 RPM. This is not a motorway cruiser. It's also given its owner, Harvey, an average of 27 miles per gallon. Now, for a lightweight car, that doesn't sound great, does it? But it's not the sort of car that you daily commute in, because for a start, it's not exactly safe. You know, it doesn't have a Euros NCAP safety rating, and I wouldn't like to roll over in this thing. My head is almost poking out the top of the roof. Hiya, pal. Since there's no back seats in this car, can you tell me what goes wrong with the MX-5, what we should look out for? Yeah, it's rust, mate. Rust, and more rust. Sills, chassis, arches, floor pan, everything. Everything that's made of metal on that car, it'll rust away. Other than that, just make sure the timing belt's done. You've got to think of him as like a 90-year-old man who's still got a really strong heart, but his body is degrading around him. Yeah. Okay, cheers, pal. That was very helpful. Yeah, no worries, mate. Cheers, bye. In 1994, they introduced a facelifted version of this car, and with that came the 1.8 litre engine, which had 130 horsepower. So a little bit more pokey, but also the car was heavier. They also added a bit of safety to the car. They stiffened it in the chassis, and they added airbags. Obviously, this car doesn't have an airbag. Oh, here comes an MX-5. Let's see if we can get a wave. Yeah, we got a wave. It was an NC in red. Honestly, you just can't really beat that feeling of someone else in a car like yours giving you a little wave, a little nod of approval. It really does warms the cockles of my heart. I feel part of a community, and of course the MX-5 community is absolutely massive. If you need parts for this car, they are easy to come by because there's a great aftermarket for them, and Mazda just made so many of these things. Probably the hardest thing about finding one of these is just finding one that's not been modified, if that's what you want. You know, if you want a standard one like this, that is hard to come by. So thank you very much, Harvey, for lending me this car, because you know they are hard to find now, and it's a privilege to be able to drive this one. And he did say to me, ring it out, it's what it's for, it won't mind. So the British lost their bottle, they lost their dominance of the market of these small sporty cars, and Mazda took over, and ever since then it's been Mazda's job to build an MX-5, and every generation they've nailed it. This is the last and final one for me to review. I've done the NB, NC, ND. Going back to the OG, the original MX-5, it hasn't disappointed me at all. They got it right from the beginning. They always managed to sort of just do what they set out to do. I mean, look at that turning circle as well. Tiny. You can just turn around anywhere. Visibility is amazing because I can see out the back without, you know, with the roof down. Reversing is an absolute doddle. Thank you, Mazda, and thank you, Harvey, for lending me this car. The next video you need to watch, of course, is the Mazda MX-5 NB, so that's there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.